Hi, and welcome to the Basic Math Word Problem Tutor. And in this class, we're going to concentrate on solving problems, obviously, that deal with word problems, and we're going to get some practice in doing your math at the same time. So up until now, in my previous DVDs and also in your schoolwork, you have learned how to do the math. You should know how to add, and you should know how to subtract, and multiply and divide. And we'll get practice with it here, and this will be really good practice for you, but you should know the basic idea behind how to do that. And this course is going to focus on reading a word problem, which is usually a bunch of sentences there, and you got to read that and you have to understand what the problem's asking you, and then you'll have to know how to take the information out of the problem and put it on your paper, and you'll have to figure out if you need to add or subtract or divide or whatever it is and to arrive at the answer. And so word problems in many cases are like real life. A lot of times you'll go to the store and you'll buy some bread and you'll buy some eggs, and you'll have to know, for instance, how much money you'll need to pay for that stuff. And if you give the person at the checkout lane $10, but your food only costs $5.50, you'll need to know how much change to get back so that you'll know if you're getting the right amount of change. It's very important stuff. So this word problem stuff, it can look complicated sometimes because you've got a bunch of words there and sentences and you're not sure if you should add or subtract or divide. Well, we're going to fix all that here because we're going to take things one step at a time, step by step with lots of problems, and the way you'll get comfortable with that is by practice, okay? So this section of the class in particular is going to deal with word problems that involve addition of whole numbers. Okay, so those are going to be problems that end up needing you to add some numbers together, some whole numbers together, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are whole numbers, okay? And you'll have to add them up to get the answer. So we'll get some practice with those kinds of problems. So the thing to look for in a word problem when to figure out if you need to add something together are things like the following. If you see something like in the problem, something like the term find the total amount, or what is the total. The key word total means you're totaling it up, so you have to add it all up. So if you find something that says the total of, usually you have to add something. If you find something that says the sum, for instance, find the sum of the ages of the people in the room, that would mean you have to add them up. Anytime you see the word the sum of, or the phrase the sum of, find the sum of this or the sum of that, usually that means you have to add things together. If you see something like how many of something do you have in all? So the phrase how many in all, that's something that you'll have to think about that tells you that you're probably going to need to add something together. How many pencils do I have in all? That means in all I have to add them all up. That's what that means. Or how many altogether? How many oranges do I have altogether? Another little phrase. So I'm just giving you some little hints here. You see the total, the sum, how many in all, or how many in all together. Usually you're going to have to add something. There are other phrases, but I think we'll hit them through the example problems here. So let's just go right into the first problem, and we'll just get some practice, okay? So the first problem goes as follows. Bob has 7 pencils. Jenny has 5 pencils. If Bob and Jenny put their pencils in a box, how many pencils are there in all? Okay? How many pencils are there in all? Okay, so remember, I just told you if you find something that says how many in all, usually that means you have to add something together, and that's what we're going to do here. But before we get into the math, there's one thing I want to tell you, and that is when you have a word problem that you have to solve, you must understand what the problem is asking you, okay? It's very tempting, it's very common for you to read this problem and just see that there's 7 pencils and that there's 5 pencils and just start doing something. It's very tempting for you just to add them or subtract them or whatever without actually reading the problem and understanding the problem. You must understand the problem. Even if you have to read it 6 times, you have to understand the problem. If you can understand what the problem's asking, you're halfway to finding the answer before you've even written anything down. So we're going to do that again here. We're going to read it one more time and we're going to understand it. Bob has 7 pencils. Okay, so there's this person Bob, he has 7 pencils in his hand. Jenny, who's another person, has 5 pencils. So Bob has 7 pencils, Jenny has 5 pencils. If Bob and Jenny put their pencils in a box, how many pencils are there in all? Okay, so there's a box, Bob puts his in, Jenny puts his in. So we have a box that has the total of, or the sum of, both of those sets of pencils. We have Bob's 7 pencils. We have Jenny's 5 pencils. So you see, understanding the problem, you know that you have 2 sets of pencils. You put them in a box, and now you want to know how many do you have in all. So you have to add them together. Okay, you have to take Bob's pencils plus Jenny's pencils, and that's why it says how many do you have in all. Okay. So how would we actually solve that problem? If we're going to add these two things together, you must write your answers down. So we know that we have 7, okay, 7 pencils, and I'm going to put over here in parentheses that this is pencils, just because I want to remind you that we're dealing with pencils here. This is kind of important just to remember what you're talking about. You have 7 pencils, and remember, this is Bob's pencils. This is Bob's pencils, okay, that the problem talked about. And then you have 5 more pencils, okay. Okay, so 5 more pencils, that's just what the parentheses means. And this is Jenny's pencils. Okay, now, we said we have to add them together. And we have to add them together because Bob put 7 pencils in a box. See, here's some box. So Bob throws his 7 pencils in, and then Jenny throws her 5 pencils in. And so what you have to do is you have to add up all of these pencils in the box to find out how many are in the box. Okay? So what would 7 plus 5 be? And you can do that on your fingers, or you can do that if you just have that memorized, that's fine. You start with 7, you're going to add 5 more. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you just added 5 more to 7, and that gives you 12. Okay? So it's basically the same thing as saying is if Jenny had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pencils, and Bob had whoops, I said this the wrong way. If Bob had the 7 pencils, and Jenny had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more, these are all pencils here. Bob had 7, and Jenny had 5 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 pencils. So you had 12 pencils in the end. Okay? And this is the answer. So you see, you've successfully solved your first word problem. You were given a few sentences here, and you had to find out what the problem was asking you, and then you had to do the proper math. And in this case, we knew we had to add. So let's go on and do another problem. And we'll just continue to get some practice with this. The next problem goes like this. Jake's car is 10 feet long. Jackie's car is 11 feet long. If these cars are parked end to end, what is the total length of these cars put together? So we have 2 cars. Jackie has a car and Jake has a car. And we put them end to end. And end to end just simply means if I have a car here and I have another car here, I put them end to end right next to each other, bumper to bumper. Okay? What is the total length of the 2 cars put together? So you see there's another key word here. What is the total length? And we talked about that. That's one of those words that usually tells you to add things up. And so you're going to have to add things up here. But even bigger than that, just think about what the problem's asking you. If you park a car here, and then you park another car in front of it, and this car is so many feet long, and this car is so many feet long, then in order to find out how long they are put together, you must add the 2 lengths up. So you have to add. So you have to understand what the problem's asking you. And then the math will become very easy. Okay? So we have to add these 2 things together. Jake has a car 10 feet long. Jackie's car is 11 feet long. If these cars are parked end to end, what is the total length of these 2 cars put together? We're putting them together, we must add. So, we have a car here, like this, and then we have another car end to end, just like this. This is what end to end means, okay? And this car this is Jake's car, and his is 10 feet, okay? And this car is Jackie, and her car is 11 feet. That means this car is 10 feet long and this car is 11 feet long. What is the total length of the 2 cars end to end? That means we must add them together. That is what we're doing here. Okay, so we have 10, and I'm going to put feet in parentheses because we're adding 10 feet. This is the unit that we're talking about. We have to make sure we understand what we're adding together. So I'm going to remind myself that I'm adding 10 feet, okay? And I'm adding 11 more feet to it, okay? And I'm going to add these two things up. Now, you can do this on your fingers, but because the numbers are kind of big, it gets hard to do. So just go back to remembering how you add two-digit numbers together. You start in the right-hand column, and you add 1 plus 0. 1 plus 0 gives me 1. You're done with that column. Now you look at the next column. 1 plus 1 gives me 2. So I have 21, and 21 what? It's 21 feet. So it's 21 feet. That is the length of the two cars put together, okay? And this is the answer. So you see, you've successfully solved your second word problem. One car is 10 feet long, one car is 11 feet long. You add them together using the rules of the math, and we know we must add them because we understood the problem. We're adding the two lengths of these cars. We're adding feet plus feet, and that gives us more feet, okay? 21 feet long. Okay, the next problem is going to go like this. One classroom has 12 chairs. Another classroom has 9 chairs. How many chairs are there in all? Okay, so we're doing the same thing that we did before. We have a sentence at the end that says how many chairs are there in all, okay? And we talked at the beginning of this section, when something is asking you how many in all, that usually means that you're going to add something together, and that's going to be what we're going to do here. But we also want to make sure we just truly understand the problem instead of just doing something. So we have one classroom over here, and it has 12 chairs inside. And then we have another classroom over here, and that classroom has 9 chairs. How many chairs are there in all? That means if you look at how many chairs are over here and how many chairs are over here, how many in all means if you take them all together, how many do you have? So you must add them to find out if you put them together, how many will you have? So we're going to add these two amounts of chairs together, okay? So let's do that. One classroom has 12, and 12 what? We have 12 chairs. I want you to get in the habit of putting whatever it is you're adding or subtracting or multiplying or whatever it is together here so that you'll always remember what you're doing. You have 12 chairs there, and another classroom has 9 chairs. Okay? And you're going to add these together because this is one classroom's chairs and this is another classroom's chairs, and we want to find out how many there are all together. 12 chairs, 9 chairs, and we're adding them. Notice when I put the 9 under here, I put the 9 over to the right, underneath the right-hand column, and that's the way you should always do this when you're adding numbers together. If you have the same number of digits, you just put them underneath, but if you only have one digit or less number of digits, you push it over to the right to line up in the right-hand column, okay? So how do we add this together? Again, you can use your fingers, but it's kind of some big numbers here, so it's not so easy. So let's go and just do it by starting in the right-hand column and adding these two numbers. 9 plus 2. What is 9 plus 2? You can add 9 plus 2 by starting at 9 and adding 2 more. Starting at 9, 10, 11. We've added 2 more. Okay? So we've gotten to the number 11. 9 plus 2 is 11. So we put the 1 here, and we carry another 1 up here. So make sure you understand that. 9 plus 2 is 11. We can't write 11 down like this, okay, because, well, you have to go back and look at your addition. That's just not the way it works. You put one number here, and the other number, you don't put it right here, you carry it to the next column, okay? And then so you have this. So then you go over to the next column, and you have a 0 down here. This blank means 0, so there's nothing there. But you have 1 plus 1 more that we carried gives you 2. 21. And that's 21 chairs. Okay, so that's the answer, 21 chairs. So make sure you understand this. 12 chairs in one classroom, 9 chairs in the other. 9 plus 2 gave us, starting at 9, 10, 11. We added 2 more and got 11. Now when we put the 11 down, we put the 1 here, but we had to carry a 1 to the next column here, and then 1 plus 1 in this column, plus the 0 that was here, which is nothing, gives you 2. Okay? Though you have to make sure you understand how to add digits like that. And if you're having problems understanding, I mean, I'm going to teach you a little bit as we work through here how to actually do the addition. We're going to do that. But if you need more practice with that, you can go get the 1st through 7th grade math tutor that has a lot of extra problems just in learning how to actually do the addition. But we're going to cover it here as well. Okay. So the next problem says it's 24 miles from home to the grocery store. If you travel from home to the grocery store and back again, what is the total distance traveled? So this is a good example of a problem you really have to understand in order to be able to solve it. Let's read it one more time. It's 24 miles from home, which is here, let's say, to the grocery store, which is over here, let's say. 24 miles. If you travel from home over to the grocery store and back again, what is the total distance traveled? Okay, so the total distance tells you, what we talked about before, total means adding something up. So you're probably going to have to add something up, and you will have to do that here. But what do you add together? You only have one number in the problem. 24 miles from home to the grocery store. Well, you see, here's the thing. If here is your home, okay, this is your home, okay, and then here's a giant supermarket, grocery store, okay, okay, here's the grocery store. What the problem is telling you is it's 24 miles to get there, okay? So you walk 20, or you go 24 miles to get to the grocery store, but then you turn around and you come back because it says you come back home. Now, when you go to the grocery store, you're going 24 miles, and then when you turn around and you come back, you're going 24 more miles. Because if I go to the store and I travel 24 miles, because that's how far apart they are, and then I turn around and I come home, I must come back through the same 24 miles, okay? You go there, you come back. You've got to go twice the distance, okay? So, 24 miles there, 24 miles back. What is the total distance travel? Is going to be 24 what? Miles. Let's always write that down. And 24 what? Miles. And we're going to add them together. And the reason we're adding them together is because it's 24 miles to get to the store and 24 miles to get back home. So we're adding 24 miles and 24 miles, and we're going to find out how many miles total that is, okay? So we start in the right-hand column. 4 plus 4, I think you can convince yourself. You can start with 4 and add 4 more, starting at 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. I added 4 more. I got 8, okay? So 8 goes there. Now you move to the next column. 2 plus 2, I think you all know, will give you 4. And it's 48. 48 what? Is it 48 pumpkins? Is it 48 apples? Is it 48 bananas? No, it's 48 miles. That's what the problem was asking you. It said, what is the total distance? So if I get in the car and drive 24 miles, and then I turn around and drive 24 miles back, I'm going to travel a total distance of 48 miles. Okay, the next problem goes like this. At the store, you purchase a candy bar for $1, a gallon of milk for $3, and a Thanksgiving turkey for $12. How much money will you spend in the store? Okay, so this is a great example of needing to understand the problem for a real life kind of thing. You go to the store, your mom tells you, go buy a $1 candy bar, go buy a gallon of milk for $3, and go buy me a turkey for Thanksgiving that costs $12. And you need to know, how much is all that going to cost? And it says, how much money will you spend in the store? So how much money, okay? And this one doesn't really have a good keyword like we talked about. It doesn't ask you how much money total or how much money altogether. It doesn't say anything like that. But just by reading the problem, you need to understand that you're going to have to add these numbers together, because if I go and I buy a candy bar for $1 and then a gallon of milk for $3 and then a turkey for $12, I'm going to need enough money to pay for all of that stuff. So I have to add the prices of all of that stuff together in order to know how much money I need. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this stuff up. So I'm going to spend 12, and 12 what? It's $12. Okay, and that's going to be spent on the turkey. That's just a reminder to me what this is for. I'm also going to spend $3 more. So I'm just going to write a note to myself that this is $3 more, and that's for the milk. And I'm also going to spend $1 more, okay, and that's going to be for the candy. the candy bar, okay? So I'm going to add all of these up together, and notice the way I wrote it down is I have the $12 and then the 3 and the 1 pushed over to the right and lined up underneath the right-hand column because that's how I'm going to add these together, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's start in the right-hand column and let's add this up. 2 plus 3 is how many? Starting at 2, adding 3 more. Starting at 2. 3, 4, 5. I added 3 more, I got 5. So 2 plus 3 gives me 5, plus 1 more gives me 6. So I put a 6 down here. I'm done with that column, okay? Now I move to the next column. 1 plus, and this is a 0 because it's blank and a 0 because it's blank, so 1 plus 0 just gives me 0. So I have 1, 6, which is 16, and is it 16 eggs or 16 bananas or 16 what? No, it's $16. Okay, that's how much money I'm going to spend in the store, $16, okay? Because I'm adding dollars and dollars and dollars, and so I'm going to end up with dollars. Okay, so this is a very useful thing to know. You go to the store, your mom asks you to buy some things, and you know how much they cost, and you need to know how much money to bring. So you have to add this together to figure that out. The next problem goes something like this. There are 3 buckets labeled A, B, and C. Bucket A has 10 apples, bucket B has 16 apples, and bucket C has 19 apples. How many apples are there in all? So the last sentence here tells you how many in all. That means altogether. I must add them up. How many in all? It's asking me how many altogether, so I have to add them. So I have 3 buckets. One bucket has 10 apples, one bucket has 16 apples, and one bucket has 19 apples. And I need to find out how many in all, so I must add them all together. So let's do that. Okay, so I have 10 what? 10 apples. Okay, over in one bucket. This is bucket A. Okay, I have 16 what? 16 more apples. And that's in bucket B. Okay, and then I have 19 more apples. And that's in bucket C. And I know that I have to add them together because the problem is saying how many apples are there in all. So I must add them. So you see I wrote them down one on top of another so I can add them, and I always start in the right-hand column. 9 plus 6 plus 0. Let's start. What's 9 plus 6? 9 plus 6, starting at 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so I added 6. Okay, so let's one more time. 9 plus 6. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so that's 15. Okay, now to add them up and to do the 15 here, you want to, this is, and then plus the 0 obviously is just 0, so there's nothing there. So 9 plus 6 is 15. So you put the 5 down here and carry the 1 up to the next column. Okay, you do not write the 1 down here. That's not right. Okay, you put the digit to the right here and you carry the 5 here. So you see this is 1, 5. It's just that I'm putting the next digit over on this column. Okay, I have to put it somewhere. I'm not going to put it here. I'm going to put it up here. Okay, now we add this column up. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 should give me 4, right? 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives me 4. So this column becomes a 4. So it's 45 what? 45 apples. Okay, that's how many apples in all. Okay, so I had 10 apples, 16 apples, and 19 apples. Okay, how many did I have in all? Well, you add them up, you get 15 here, put the 5 down, carry the 1, and then you just add this column up, which is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives me the 4, so 45 apples. Okay, this is going to be our last problem in this section, and it goes like this. You operate a lemonade stand, and on Monday you earn $11. On Tuesday you earn $12, and on Wednesday you earn $10. On Thursday you earn $13. How much money did you earn altogether? So you see, because of that last sentence, how much money did you earn altogether? That means altogether you must add up all of the money, and that will be how much you have altogether. Okay, so you have 4 days, and you're opening this lemonade stand, and you want to find out how much money you made altogether. On Monday you earned $11. On Tuesday you earned $12. Wednesday was $10, and Thursday was $13. So you must add these up to find out how much money you earned altogether. Okay, so let's do that. On Monday, you earned 11 what? You earned $11, so I'm going to write it down over here, just so you remember. On Tuesday, you earned 12, again, dollars. So I'm going to write a note to myself. On Wednesday, you earned $10. Okay, and on Thursday, you earned $13. Okay, so this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. These are the amounts of money I've made, and I must add them all together to find out how much money I earned altogether. So we'll start in the right-hand column just as we always do. What is 3 plus 2? 3 plus 2 should give you 5. Starting at 3, adding 2 more. 4, 5. Okay, I added 2 more, I got 5. So 3 plus 2, the 0 doesn't add to anything here, so you don't even have to look at it. 3 plus 2 gives you 5, plus 1 more gives you 6. So put a 6 down there. And now I'm done with that column, and I'll look at the next column. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives me 4. Starting with 1, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives me 4. Okay, so I have 4. So $46. Okay, because I'm adding dollars and dollars and dollars and dollars, and so in the end I'm adding up to get $46. Okay, so in this section of the class we've done some really good introductory work on word problems. The big challenge is going to be to read the problem and to understand what it's asking so you'll know what to do. In all of the problems in this section, we're dealing with whole numbers, which means there's no fractions here, there's no decimals here, there's nothing really complicated. It's just some whole numbers like 1 or 2 or 7 or 10 or something like that. And in all of these problems, we're adding things together. So we're using things like the sum of. What is the sum of this? What's the sum of that? How many do I have all together? What is the grand total of whatever it is I'm talking about? Things like that is what you will look for to figure out if you have to add these things together. But more than that, you really just need to read the problem, understand what it's really asking you so that you'll know exactly what to do to find the answer.